Welcome back to another episode of the House Husband Diaries. As always, I am your host, Carter C. And today we are back on the thrill of the chase, Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt somewhere in the Rocky Mountains north of Santa Fe. And we're running a series on themes. And the theme for today's episode is running across fields and tall grasses. And tall grass is how it's said in the book. But basically what we're doing for anybody that's new to the videos, especially this series on themes, is reading through the book. Forrest has told us to read through The Thrill of the Chase, otherwise known as TTOTC. Read through it slowly and look for any aberrations or anything that's abnormal that sticks out to you. So I'm just going through like a number of themes. I have a spreadsheet with 30 plus themes where there are things that stick out to me because they're mentioned multiple times throughout the book. Now, I could be totally off, and the subtle hints could just be mentioned one time, and they're so subtle that they're not repeated. But I don't know. I find that hard to digest that a subtle hint would be so subtle that it was just mentioned once and that was it. And so I look at, I think other YouTubers have used the term confirmation, that there are certain things that confirm either someone's solve or someone's idea. To be honest, everybody that said that hasn't found the treasure at this point. I still believe, I agree with them that there has to be some sort of confirmation, not just confirmation bias, but some sort of, is it repeated multiple times? I don't know. Is there something there when your boots on the ground that it confirms what you already thought, or maybe some subtle line in the book, and then that's how you know, but you won't know until you're there? I don't know. Like I've said a number of times, the likelihood of me being out in the Rocky Mountains somewhere north of Santa Fe, other than skiing in a couple of months, and I won't be looking for the treasure when we're out there. It's pretty much nil, so maybe I'll never find out what those subtle hints are. But enough about that. Today's theme, running across fields in tall grass. And these things just stick out to me as I've read the book over and over a number of times. Why does Forrest choose these stories, and why do so many stories have him running across a field? Why are there numerous mentions of tall grass? And I think it's interesting. Those are aberrations to me. And so when I look at the poem and I see, but tarry scant with marvel gaze, just take the chest and go in peace, I think, man, tarry scant, don't hang out there long, get out of there. Well, maybe you need to run across a field. He talks about running across a field. Maybe it's a field of grass. And then we'll get to how maybe the treasure's hidden in one of these mentions of tall grass and running across the field. So, without further ado, first mention, and I might have missed some, but I have 5 mentions of running across fields and or tall grass. Page 42, chapters Gypsy Magic, and we go down to the bottom paragraph, and it says, the screen was easy to unlatch, so I jumped to the ground and run as fast as I could through the cemetery and across a wide field toward the firelight. So I made a little note here, toward the firelight. Could that be the blaze? I'm not saying the firelight is a blaze, but it is a blaze. It's a type of blaze. So he runs across, could the subtle hint be he's running across this field as fast as he could towards a blaze? Towards the firelight? I don't know. And then he follows up by lying on my stomach under a wagon and pushing the tall grass aside. I could really see up close. So maybe the way the chest is hidden is it's just in the grass. It's in tall grass, and you have to lie on your stomach to look up close to see it. You run across a field, it's there. I don't know. That's why we're doing all this, right? That's why it's fun. Second instance, page 70, just below the stout-hearted men. Well, at the bottom of that paragraph, he says, to avoid detection, I ran full speed across an open field, crying all the way until I reached a small county road that led back home. Now, I've already mentioned this because in the tears episode, because it says crying all the way. So I wonder if that's also a confirmer about running across fields, because he's to avoid detection, right? But tarry scant with marvel gaze. You don't, once you found the treasure chest, you want to avoid detection. So you need to get the heck out of Dodge. You need to get out of there. Run full speed across an open field. You might be crying tears of joy all the way, not tears of sadness. And then there's a small county road that leads back home. Because if you've got the treasure chest, you're going to want to go back home for 30 days and keep it under wraps. And he mentioned small county road more than once too, or roads leading home. I don't know, and this might be in another episode, if the next line has anything to do, but it sticks out to me. So I'll save that for another episode. But you can read the next line if you're watching this video. So the next mention is on page 91 in My War for Me. And he says, fourth paragraph down. When we landed, the geography looked much different from what I expected and from what I had seen from a mile up. Could that be Google Maps? It looks this way on Google Maps, but when you get there, the geography is very different, which is most of our experiences with Google Maps, huh? All of the Rocky Mountains look way different when you're there than when you're looking at them on Google Maps. The small clearing was now about 300 feet across, and belly-high grass made walking difficult. It was impersonal and disappointing. I was embarrassed and felt foolish for making such a big deal out of something that now seemed whimsical. If we get there to this spot, maybe this spot is embarrassing. It actually isn't that momentous. Maybe it's not that amazing to other people. It's subdued. It's a special place to Forrest, not to the masses. And so maybe we think, oh, this is the solve. This is where we need to go, this clearing. And then when we get there, we start to have doubts. Maybe this is silly. We shouldn't be here. I felt foolish for making such a big deal out of something that now seemed whimsical. Besides, this was enemy country, and although it seemed remote, we didn't know who might be nearby. It seems remote, but who's nearby? You don't want anyone to see you retrieving the treasure chest. Does it have something to do with an open field? And then he says, helicopters make a lot of noise, so we agreed to stay only 5 minutes. Does it only take you 5 minutes to get the treasure chest and go? Do you just have to walk across a field and pick it up and come back? It's only 5 minutes. Tarry scant with marvel gaze. Just take the chest and go in peace. And then just below that he says, as we rose and started walking in the tall grass toward the helicopter, a strange chain of events, a strange chain of, and then you got to flip 2 pages, events began to unfold. And then he talks about I tripped over something and fell flat on my face, yada, yada, yada. We're on page 94 now, which is the next mention. Just below the words on that grave marker, it says, those words burned in my brain, and I can see them just as clearly now as I did then when I was so rushed. They're burned in his mind. Is that the blaze? Something was burned, etched in your mind. Memories begin at where warm waters halt. End of thoughts, end of emotion, of tears. Those words burned in my brain, and I can see them just as clearly now as I did then when I was so rushed. I took care to replace the stone marker as it had fallen, and smooth the grass to hide it over. The promise that place had made to me had been kept, and mine to it as well. Does that stick out to you? To me, the first thing that stuck out to me was the grass. And now that I look at it and I'm doing videos, I think he took care to replace the stone marker as it had fallen. But what if he just took care to place the treasure chest and smooth the grass to hide it over? So when he says he buried the treasure chest, and then he contradicts himself, or he corrects himself, and he says, I didn't bury it. But if you smooth the grass over it, or did you bury it? Are you concealing it? Are you hiding it? I'm torn, right? I've said in previous videos, I'm not sure if he didn't just find a stump, or if he didn't find an old tree, or if it's a bronze of a tree. But then I read this and I go, well, maybe the subtle hint is that it's in tall grass. It's in some grassy field and plain, and it's just, if it's only a few inches deep, and you've got 2 or 3 foot high, belly high, for me, that's 5 feet. 5 foot tall grass, you can conceal entire children and some fully grown human beings in 5 feet of grass, much less a treasure chest that's a few inches by a few inches by a few inches. That's simple. You don't even need to smooth the grass if that's the case, if it's belly high grass. Okay, the last mention that I have in this, and then we'll get to your thoughts, right? Page 100. Still in my war for me. 3rd paragraph down. Halfway through the paragraph. I mentioned the first part of this in a previous video on tears. No one is crying now that half a century has passed. The ground knows, and the tall grass knows, but they won't tell. I can keep my secret where, and hint of riches new and old. Nobody's telling about that secret. The ground knows and the tall grass knows. He's gone alone in there. What do you think? Do the themes of running across fields and tall grass stick out to you when you were reading? Did they stick out to you when you were reading The Thrill of the Chase? Do they seem to stick out more now that I've presented these themes in this video? Does it make sense to you? Am I out in left field? I don't know. I mean, I've got tons more themes, tons more imagination to share with you guys over the next couple of months. I mean, we're going to keep pumping these videos out 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and I've got themes that go on forever. So let me know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do. And we'll just keep putting them out. We'll keep batting things, ideas about, and maybe who knows? Maybe 2020 is the year somebody finds the chest, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see who finds it and how they found it. and what the clues, how they put them together. I mean, it just at this point, it's been going on so long, and so many people are starting to put stuff out there, and I've heard so many different ideas that it's there's got to be a tipping point, to use a Malcolm Gladwell point or phrase. Maybe he didn't coin it, but somebody else did. But he wrote that book, and who knows? We'll see. So I thank you so much for watching, and have a great time doing this. So let me know how your chase is going, and we'll talk at you next episode.